Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Satchitananda Rupaya Vishwotpatyadi Hetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Ayang Namaha. We offer our humble obeisances unto Lord Krishna, whose transcendental form is truth, knowledge, and bliss personified. He is the cause of the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the universe, and the destroyer of the three types of miseries. Hare Krishna. Bhakti Vedanta Bhagavata Group welcomes everyone to the weekly Harikatha. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada and all Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas. Thanks everyone again for joining the recommencement of Srimad Bhagavatam Katha, and our sincere thanks to and gratitude to Sri Satchitananda Das Prabhuji. His sessions have been a great blessing for all of us during these times. So before we begin, the important announcement. Tuesday, February 2nd is the disappearance day of Srila Jayadev Goswami. Jayadev Goswami is the author of the Gita Govinda, a poem about the pastimes of Sri Radha Krishna. He appeared 300 years before the advent of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya relished hearing of the Gita Govinda song by his close associates. To this day, the poem is recited daily in the temple of Lord Jagannath in Jagannath Puri, Odisha. Jayadev Goswami is also the author of the famed Dasavatar Stotra. February 2nd is also the disappearance day of Srila Ramachandra Kaviraj. Srila Narottam Das Thakur, in separation, disappearance of Ramchandra Kaviraj Mahasya, has sung in the song Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Karo More, O Acharya Prabhu, please bestow your mercy upon me. Ramchandra sang Ramchandra Sangamage Narottama Das. I pray that I might also have the association of Ramchandra. Sri Ramchandra Kaviraj was the disciple of Srinivasa Acharya Prabhu, a Siksha god brother of Srila Narottama Das Thakur, a very intimate friend of Narottama Das Thakur. Tuesday, Feb 2nd, is also the appearance day of Gopal Bhatta Goswamis. Gopal Bhatta Goswami, one of the celebrated 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Gopala Bhatta and his family in 1511 AD while traveling through South India. Gopal Bhatta later went to Vrindavan, the birthplace of Lord Krishna, to study the scriptures with Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. Gopal Bhatta Goswami is famous for establishing the worship of Sri Radha Raman, a unique self-manifested, not carved, deity form of Krishna. The Radha Raman temple is one of the most famous and popular temples in all of Vrindavan. When Krishnadas Kaviraj was writing Chaitanya Charitamrit, an extensive biography of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gopal Bhatta, out of severe humility, requested him to not mention H. Wednesday, February 3rd, Srila Lochan Das Thakur's disappearance. Lochan Das Thakur, a disciple of Narahari Sarkara Thakur, wrote many Bengali songs glorifying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His most famous poetic work is the Chaitanya Mangala, a depiction of Lord Chaitanya's life. So today we'll be continuing our service to Srimad Bhagavatam. If you all recollect, we had several sessions in regard to Bhagavatam. We had the introduction, then Canto 1, Chapter 1, followed by, and we have completed verse 1 and 2. So today we'll be entering the verse 3. We'll be posting the YouTube links of the past sessions on verse 1 and 2 by Satchitananda Das Prabhuji, so that interested devotees who had missed the sessions or would like to review the same can go through those recordings. Hare Krishna. Would like to now request Prabhuji to commence today's session.
Namo विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिने नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्या देशतारिणे। Co-host, please check other people's microphones. Thank you. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति सिद्धान्त सरस्वती इति नामिने। श्रीवर्षभान्वी देवी द्वैताय कृपाब्धये कृष्ण संबंध विज्ञान दायिने प्रभवे नमः। माधुर उज्ज्वल प्रेमाद्य श्री रूपानुग भक्तिदा श्री गौर करुणाशक्ति विग्रहाय नमस्तुते। नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दीनतारिणे रूपानुगा विरुद्धाप सिद्धांत द्वंतहारिणे। नमा गौर किशोराय साक्षाद् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्भ रसाम्बोधे पादाम्भोजायते नमः। नमा भक्ति विनोदाय सच्चिदानंद नामिने गौरशक्ति स्वरूपाय रूपानुगा वरायते गौरवीर्भाव भूमिस्त्वं निर्दिष्ट सज्जना प्रिया वैष्णव सर्व भौमाय श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमस्ते गिरिराजाय गोवर्धन नामिने प्रणतक्लेश नाशाय श्रीगिरिराजाय नमस्तुते। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा आजानुलंबितो भुजौ कनकाय अवधातो संकीर्तने पितरवो युगधर्म पालो संकीर्तने पितरवो कमलायताक्षो विश्वम्भरो द्विजवरो युगधर्म पालो वंदे जगत प्रियकरो करुणाय अवतारो। We beg for mercy at the lotus feet of our Gaudiya Acharyas, Srila Lochan Das Thakur, Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and all the Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas for their mercy and blessings, so that we can get some spiritual advancement. Sri Ramachandra Kaviraj, who was so dear to Narottam Das Thakur, we beg for mercy at your lotus feet. Please grant us this favor so that we may be engaged in the service of the dear servants of Mahaprabhu. Today I would like to start today's satsang by singing the famous bhajan by Sri Narottam Das Thakur. He composed this on the disappearance of Ramchandra Kaviraj. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, doya karo more, toma vina ke doyalu, jagat samsare. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, doya karo more. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, doya karo more. Toma bina ke जगत संसारे तोमा विना के दयालु जगत संसारे तोमा विना के दयालु जगत संसार पतित पावन हेतु तब अवतार पतित पावन हेतु तब अवतार मोसमा कोटिका प्रभु न पाइबे समापतिता प्रभु ना पाइबे आर मो समापतिता प्रभु ना पाइबे आहा प्रभु नित्यानंद प्रेमानंद सुखी आहा प्रभु नित्यानंद प्रेमानंद सुखी कृपा बलोकाना करो आमी बड़ो दुखी कृपा बलोकाना करो आमी बड़ो दुखी कृपा बलोकाना करो आमी बड़ो दया करो सीतापति अद्वैत गोसाई दया करो सीतापति अद्वैत गोसाई तव कृपा बोले पाई तव कृपा बोले पाई चैतन्य निताई तव कृपा बोले पाई चैतन्य निताई तव कृपा बोले पाई चैतन्य निताई दया करो श्री आचार्य प्रभु श्रीनिवास गौर प्रेमय तनु पंडित गदाधार श्रीनिवास हरि दास दयार सागर श्रीनिवास हरि दास दयार सागर श्रीनिवास हरि दास दयार सागर हरि बोल आहा स्वरूप सनातन रूप रघुनाथ आहा स्वरूप सनातन रूप रघुनाथ भट्ट जुग श्री जीवन प्रभु लोकनाथ भक्त जुग श्री जीवन प्रभु लोकनाथ भक्त श्री आचार्य प्रभु श्रीनिवास दया करो श्री आचार्य प्रभु श्रीनिवास रामचंद्र संग मांगे रामचंद्र संग मांगे रामचंद्र संग मांगे रामचंद्र संग मांगे नरोत्तम दास रामचंद्र संग मांगे नरोत्तम दास श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दया करो मोरे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दया करो मोरे तोमा मीना के दयालु जगत संसारे तोमा मीना के दयालु जगत संसारे तोमा मीना के दयालु जगत संसार हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Jai Mukunda Madhava Govinda Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Jai Mukunda Madhava Govinda Bol, Jaya Radha Madana Mohan, Radha Madana Mohan, Radhe Radhe, Jaya Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Radhe Radhe. Jaya Radha Gopinath, Radha Gopinath, Radha Gopinath, Radhe Radhe. Jaya Radha Ramana, Radha Ramana, Radha Ramana, Radhe Radhe. Jayo Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radhe Radhe. Jayo Radha Damodar, Radha Damodar, Radhe Radhe. जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे राधे। जयो कृष्ण बलराम जयो वृंदावन धाम जयो कृष्ण बलराम जयो वृंदावन धाम। जयो ललिता विशाखा राधे श्याम जयो ललिता विशाखा जयो राधे श्याम ललिता विशाखा जयो राधे श्याम। हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताई गौरा हरि बोल। प्रभुपाद 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 गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। आराध्यो भगवान व्रजेश तनयस तद्धाम वृंदावनम रम्या कांचे उपासना रजवधुवर्गेण तया कल्पिता। श्रीमद्भागवतं पुराणमयम् प्रेम पुमान् महा श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभो मतैदं नायत्रयाग्र परः शृण्वन्ता स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवण कीर्तनम् हृदयन्तस्त भद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सदा। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जय उदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञान ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। संसारदावानललीढलोका त्रणाय कारुण्य घनाघनात्वं प्राप्तस्य कल्याण गुणार्णवास्य वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम्। यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य अप्रसादान् न गति कुतोऽपि दयांस्तुवांस्तस्य यस्य स्त्रीसन्ध्यां वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दं। वन्दे गुरोः श्रीचरणारविन्दम्। जय श्रीला प्रभुपाद, जय ब्रह्म मधो गौड़ीय संप्रदाय आचार्य गुरुवर की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रीला भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रीला प्रभुपाद जी की जय। श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत श्री गोस्वामी ठाकुर जगत गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य शहरीदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री मायापुर नवदीप धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र वियोगिनी राधा क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। समावेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. My humble obeisances to all of you, especially Srila Prabhupada disciples present here, Mother Subuddhi, and all the Vaishnavas assembled. So, after some time again, we are going to continue into our service to Srimad Bhagavatam. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, many a time, that Bhagavat means the person Bhagavat and the book Bhagavat. So for the last 4 weeks, we have been serving the person Bhagavat, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Prabhupada, by glorifying this wonderful Acharya, the Gurudev of Srila A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada, and one of the most important pillars and stalwarts in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Indeed, no matter how much time we spend or no matter how much we try to glorify, it is going to be insufficient to glorify personalities like A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada, like personalities like Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and all the Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas. They are so very much special. They are so special because they are all Sri Varsha Bhanvi Devi Daitaya Das. They are all very good servers or servitors of the dearmost personalities to Radharani, like Rup Goswami, Rupa Manjari, and Labanga Manjari or Sanatan Goswami. So it is our good fortune that we have been studying in this line, in the school of thought, where there are so many different schools of thoughts, especially when it comes to theism or religiosity. And even within the Sanatana Dharma, there are so many different views and facets on how the Vedas are studied, and the conclusion of the Vedas or the Vedanta or Vedanta is studied. But we are very fortunate to have somehow or the other, by their mercy, by the mercy of these pure Vaishnava acharyas, we have been admitted to the school of theism, to this college where we can nicely graduate into pure devotional service and the pure devotional conclusions known as the Bhakti Vedanta. That's what we are all for. That is our purpose, is to study the scriptures through the devotional, pure devotional spirit. So today's verse is uh, from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 1, chapter 1, and it's verse number 3. Now, we had, I think, taken up almost a good, I think the maybe if I can recollect correctly, there were about 5 or 6 sessions just on the introduction of Srimad Bhagavatam, and about 7 sessions on the very first verse, 7 weeks, and the second verse was approximately 5 or 6 weeks. So I don't know how long this one is going to take, but as the katha flows by the mercy of Guru Gauranga, we will speak based on our realizations and based on what manifests within the heart, in the line of Rupa Raghunath, in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the ardent followers, Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami. So this verse is a wonderful verse also. Srimad Bhagavatam, if you all recollect, there was so much. How can I even summarize the entire 6 weeks of introduction, or and 7 weeks? That's 13 and 5, 18 weeks. It's it's impossible for me to kind of summarize everything. But those interested, the links have been posted by our Bhaktivedanta Bhagavad group Sevaks, so that they can revisit. And obviously the website is coming up very soon. All the other lectures will be archived, all the seminars and lectures, so that at your own pace one can relish these topics that we have shared in different forums, including the Bhaktivedanta Bhagavad group. Our aim again here is not to rush into the scriptures, not to finish, into inverted commas, something very quickly, and then, give ourselves a pat on the back. Oh, I finished Bhagavad Gita, I finished Bhagavatam, I finished Chaitanya Charitamrita. The idea is, even if we do one verse, even each verse is so precious that there are so many wonderful realizations that are compacted, and the commentaries given by Srila Prabhupada, by our Gaudiya Acharyas, that itself can be sufficient in giving us the fundamentals of pure devotional service. And memorizing all the verses is not necessary, nor are we scholars, nor are we persons who would like to debate based on the Vedic knowledge. It is pure devotional service. The gopis of Vrindavan did not know anything, not a single word of the scripture, not a single letter rather. And somebody like Uddhav, who was the topmost disciple of Brihaspati. Brihaspati is the guru of the Devi Devatas, of the demigods, and a very advanced soul in terms of knowing religiosity. And Uddhav was such a great scholar. He had attained amazing scholarship in the Vedas, etc. And Krishna sends Uddhav to Vrindavan. Uddhav, go to Vrindavan. Go and and then there Uddhav was thinking, when he goes, he was thinking in his head that, I understand that the separation that Krishna has given to the gopis, and the gopis must be lamenting a lot, the Vrajvasis, the Gopas, etc., they must be lamenting a lot, and I will give them the gyan. I will give them the gyan of the Vedas. I will give them the gyan that you are not this body, you are a spirit soul, and I will give them all those esoteric different topics and explain to them that they should not be lamenting, etc. And then hopefully I will be able to pacify them, because that is the goal of Sri Krishna. That's what he thought. So again, uh, finally, when Uddhav reaches Sri Vrindavan Dham, and when he gets an audience with all the Vrajvasis, and at that time, finally, when it is time to go, his heart is full of, is laden with pure devotional bhakti, which he did not have before, just by listening to the love, and just by feeling the love of the Vrajvasis. Although they had not studied any Vedas, but the pure devotion was there in each and every grain of Vrindavan Dham. What to talk about the hearts of the gopis and the gopas and the cows and the living entities, and everything in in Vrindavan Dham was in full permeated with the Vipralamba Bhav, the separation of Sri Krishna, which is considered of a very, very high nature, which only a few special souls are given such an opportunity uh, to feel that. Otherwise, the perfected souls have the opportunity to enter Vaikuntha and many other Vaikuntha planets, and perhaps some of the higher planets above the Vaikuntha Dham, which can be Ayodhya, or it can be Dwarka and Mathura. But Golok Vrindavan and Vrindavan Dham on this earthly planet are non-different. They manifest time and again based on Krishna's will, on Radharani's will, and they bring in that pure, divine, sublime love that is impossible uh, to attain without the mercy of the Vrajvasis, without the mercy of Radharani. So this is the what we are looking forward to. As long as, dear devotees, you all grasp the fundamentals and the principles of our discussions, of what we are sharing here, then I think we will all be blessed with pure devotional service very soon. Scholarship is not our aim. Diplomas or courses is not what we are going to be speaking in such forums, as I've explained many a time before. So here we are in the third verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, um, Nigama kalpataro galitam phalam shukhamukha dravamrutam samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavuka. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam sukha mukhad amrutam drava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasam alayam muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhavuka. This verse further glorifies Srimad Bhagavatam. Just to kind of rekindle our thought process and our consciousness, Srimad Bhagavatam, the holy name, the dham, the associates, the paraphernalia of Sri Shyam Sundar Nandanandan is non-different from him. When we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, it is actually associating or begging for the association, remembering Sri Krishna Nandanandan along with all his intimate associates, topped by Srimati Radharani. That is what Hara, Krishna, and Rama indicate or mean in the sublime Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Srimad Bhagavatam, as we had mentioned in the verse first when we were discussing it, I think probably in the 6th or 7th session itself, there are different darshans of Srimad Bhagavatam. So one of the darshans of the Srimad Bhagavatam, out of the 5 or 6 darshans that we had discussed, Srimad Bhagavatam is Vasudev Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam is Nandanandan Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam is Radha Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam is the glorification of Radharani, Srimad Bhagavatam is the glorification of Krishna and Krishna's associates, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Yes, if you all remember that. So similarly, uh, when we are actually serving, I generally don't like to use the word reading. This is service. Serving Srimad Bhagavatam is Sri Krishna Parivartate. He is Sri Krishna transformed in the book form. Parivartate. Parivartate means transformation. And he is none other, Bhagavatam is none other than Sri Krishna. So once we actually uh, serve Srimad Bhagavatam in that consciousness, or when we see Srimad Bhagavatam, we feel that the presence of Sri Krishna and Krishna's associates, especially with all the different darshans that I mentioned, then certainly Srimad Bhagavatam will bless us. Sri Krishna, who is Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Krishna along with his associates, Sri Krishna with Radharani, Radharani herself will bless us with even further deeper understandings of Srimad Bhagavatam. So here Vyasadeva has composed this wonderful third verse where he says that Nigama. Now Nigam has many different common meanings, but one of the meanings is the Vedas. Nigam also means like a foundation. Nigam also means like a corporation or like we've heard that even in Hindi, Brahana Mumbai Nigam Palika, which is simply translated into English, Greater Bombay Municipality Corporation. So the Vedas is basically a corporation of so many subject matters. What is the Vedas? Veda or Nigama. Veda means to Vitta. Vitta is the root of the word Veda. Vitta means to know. Vedas means knowledge. Knowledge. And what kind of knowledge? Vedas has the knowledge that can be divided into so many subject matters, and spiritual and material. So the first word in this verse is Nigama. Nigama means all the different types of Vedic literatures. And Kalpataror Galitam Phalam. Very, very wonderful choice words here describing the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. This Vedic, the tree of the Vedic Kalp, Taror means tree, and Kalpa means anything that we desire. And Galitam Phalam. Galitam means the very most ripened, and Phalam means the fruit. So Nigama Kalpa Taror Galitam Phalam. This Srimad Bhagavatam is like the ripened fruit of the desired tree of the Vedas. So, how is it so? Very, very amazing analogy here Srila Vyasadeva has given. That Srimad Bhagavatam is the desire. Nigama kalpa taro galitam phalam. The Vedas are compared to a desire tree. And basically, what is the Vedas? Also, the Shastras say that is where we can learn about dharma. Dharmantu sakshat bhagavad pranitam. We can learn about religiosity or spirituality or elevating our consciousness, bringing ourselves, our lost, forgotten consciousness that has been covered in this material world since time immemorial. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that chanting of the holy names and associating with books like Srimad Bhagavatam, what does it do? It basically says that Cheto Darpana Marjana, Bhava Mahadava Agni Nirvapanam. Cheto Darpana Marjana. Due to our contact with material nature since time immemorial, since Anadikal, it is not that we have been in this material world for a few thousand years or for a few million years or a few billion years. It is since time immemorial. Even after the Mahapralaya or the annihilation, when the new Brahman the old Brahmans are destroyed and the new Brahmans are created simply by the exhalation of Mahavishnu. in the Karunadaksha Jal, in the causal ocean. At that time, when he inhales, all the different Brahmans are destroyed. But his inhalation is equivalent to probably about 3 point some trillion years of the average lifespan of the Brahma. And 3 trillion years, uh, something to that extent. It's a very long number. And when he exhales, Mahavishnu, like those who are familiar with pranayam in yoga, they do alom vilom, like breathing in, breathing out. So the breathing in of Mahavishnu, it destroys all the material worlds simultaneously, and within half a breath he's exhaling. Millions and millions and billions of new material planets are created within the 25% of the material creation. We have mentioned this before, that in the entire creation of Sri Krishna, material and spiritual, 25% is material, 75% is spiritual, known as the Vaikuntha or the Chinmay Dhams, the transcendental abodes, where Sri Krishna, along with many of his unlimited avatars, they have their own planets, and they are inhabited by liberated souls, by devotees who have been perfected either as sadhan siddhas or nitya siddhas. They are eternally present with that particular avatar that they wish to have a relationship or a rasa with. So, similarly, we have to understand that that even though at the time of annihilation, based on our karma, we may be in a particular Brahmand at a particular place, whether it could be heaven, it could be the earthly planet, or it could be the hellish planet. And then when the time comes, when the entire devastation takes place, it's called the Mahapralay. Then what happens is everything enters into the body of Mahavishnu. Further, as we study in the Srimad Bhagavatam, all these descriptions are given. But very briefly, just to understand the concept here. So, but that does not mean that we get liberated. We do not get liberated. Those who are in this 25% of the material creation are not liberated. They are still bound by the three modes of material nature: tamogun, rajogun, and satogun. The mode of uh, 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 the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance. These three gunas. Guna, I had explained that many times. Guna in Sanskrit means also, one of the meanings of guna is rope. A guna is used to tie a criminal, to tie something, to bind something. So we are bound by these three gunas. It is a subtle rope that we cannot see. And this subtle rope, the sukshma, this subtle rope ties us, keeps us bound, just like somebody who is chained, a criminal is chained to a pillar in a prison house. So this material world is a huge prison house where it is extremely difficult to get out. Even Krishna mentions this in the Bhagavad Gita, that Maya Maya Durattaya Je Mam Prapadyante Maya Tarantite. It is extremely difficult to surmount my Maya, which is to get out of this material world. For one who surrenders unto me fully, Maya Maya Tarantite. And then he also says further that Daivihi Esha Mama Maya Durattaya. He says this Maya is not ordinary. Daivi Esha Mama Maya. This Maya is created by me. So don't think it is ordinary or it is a weak thing. And very powerful she is. Durga Devi, who is the representation of Maya. So she is the one who keeps us in this material world. And the only way to get out of it is when one completely surrenders to Sri Krishna. Then everybody in this, whether material or spiritual creation, they will all, including Devi Devtas, the demigods, will bless us so that we can progress on the path of Krishna consciousness. So these are some of the very important fundamental principles that we should not forget. Most of the time, people in India have this impression that all gods are one, and even in a worldly basis, they say that all gods are one because that appeals to most people. It appeals to the general populace, so that it has some kind of a contrived harmony, a contrived harmony, a false harmony. So that way, everybody's at peace. Otherwise, somebody will say, why is your God greater and mine inferior, etc., etc. And then my religion is better and yours is inferior. So this is a good way of keeping the social harmony by manufacturing. I repeat that. All these things are manufactured by the people, by the kings, by the politicians, by the rulers, so that it will maintain some social uh, harmony. But this social harmony is not possible, as we see. Padam padam vipadam tesha. This is the description in Srimad Bhagavatam. It says that in every step of the way in this material world, there is vipadam. There is a problem at every step of the way. So no matter how many different types of solutions we try, different socialism, nationalism, patriotism, and all these different isms Srila Prabhupada mentions, that it is extremely difficult to attain a true peace. The real formula for attaining true peace has been given in the Bhagavad Gita. Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Vasudeva Krishna mentions this. He says that Bhoktaram Sarva Yagyat Pasyam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Surut Sarva Bhutanam Gyatva Mam Shantir Richati. When the moment everybody acknowledges that that I am the Bhokta, Sri Krishna is the full enjoyer, and everybody else is Prakriti, to be enjoyed by Sri Krishna. Very important. You know, we actually in this material 25% of this creation, which is material, was created by Krishna as a place for reformation. Like in the Western countries, they don't generally like to use the word jail. Ah, the sophisticated version of what they call jails is a correctional facility. That's what they say, uh, to make it sound so uh, flowery and nice. But a correctional facility or a place of reform is none other than a jail, where basically they expect that once the prisoner, for whatever crimes that prisoner has uh, was convicted, will eventually, after the punishment, will turn over a new leaf, and and then when after the punishment released into the society, will do good to the society, do good to himself after the punishments. But most of uh, these these lines of thoughts or philosophies that has been created by all these different politicians and people who think they're on a very high intellectual platform, they fail. If you all see the statistics in the United States, the correctional facilities or the jails are overwhelming, and prisoners are being kept into cells like cattle, are kept in cattle breeding farmhouses. And there are so many, rather than getting better, they are actually, even when we see sometimes in some of these Hollywood movies or trailers or whatever, we see some of these action-packed thrillers, and when there's a jail scene, we've all seen that they have to watch their backs all the time. It's like, they are thinking that the moment that they even wink a little bit, somebody is going to take their possessions, or somebody is going to, you know, uh, uh, kill them, or beat them up, or take their breakfast or lunch, or so many different things, and there's so many different paraphernalias that are illegal, that are available due to illegal and corrupted jailers and corrupted the corrupted system, that drugs and liquor and so many prohibited things are available in the jails, and then they're always constantly forming gangs, etc., within a jail, so that they can take control of this internal jail business. So this is not an unknown fact. And when a prisoner is out, eventually they are put on probation. This is the probation, and in probation they know there are certain rules. They cannot drink. They have certain hours where they have to go home by a certain hour. Certain probations, they are not allowed to carry any armed weapons, or they are not allowed to associate with any kinds of antisocial elements, and they have to report every few days to the what do you call, uh, the probation department, and report they cannot leave the country, they cannot leave their city. There's so many restrictions that are put. So they don't really come out reformed as such. Rarely, hardly any of these criminals who have been punished, uh, they don't come out. In fact, they come out worse. For a few days, they follow the rules, and then, eventually it is like they get arrested again and again, and they're put back into jail, and then they are get released unless they have been on a very hardcore criminal trip where they are kept on the death row. Otherwise, they are released after a few years because they don't have room in the prisons. So the real shanti or the peace is not possible. Prabhupada had met many different personalities in the government also. Wherever he went, he got the chance to meet different police chiefs and different mayors and ministers. And Prabhupada would say that I have a nice solution to bringing peace in your city. And then he would, express all the fundamental teachings of the Vedas of how one can form. Because first of all, we have to be united that there is one God, and that one God is Sri Krishna, the all-attractive. But again, then people will think that why Krishna and why not Jesus, etc. So for that, we have to study. Unless and until we study the Vedas, then until and unless we don't study it, we will not get the true picture. And a lot of the other religions these are all fragmented from Sanatana Dharma. Please try to understand that previously it was all Bharatvarsha. Today, the land of Canada or the land of the United States, where most of us are at the present moment, it was all part of Bharatvarsha. It was all ruled by King Janak, and it was ruled by rulers like Yudhishthir Maharaj and Parikshit Maharaj and King Dilip and Aja and Dashrath, King Dashrath, because the entire land that we today, then later on it got divided, and then it became into different languages and different prantas and different provinces, and then different kinds of, according to time, place, and circumstances, different beliefs got polluted, changed, and then there were different leaders whose set of teachings became religion as such. So again, the point is that some of these fundamentals are necessary. So unless and until Krishna says that Bhuktaram Sarva Yajna Tapasyam, we have to understand that Krishna is the enjoyer, so the Supreme Lord is the enjoyer. Actually, but in this material world, Krishna created this material world because we, as jivas, who wanted to enjoy separately, who wanted to imitate Sri Krishna, he created this 25% of this material world so that we could go into this correctional facility, and one day or one lifetime, we will realize that we are not the enjoyers. No matter how much wealth we get, no matter how much material comforts we get, still the soul is completely dissatisfied unless and until it gets a connection with Sri Krishna. So Krishna very clearly says the true formula of peace is Bhuktaram Sarva Yajna Tapasya. Yajna means all kinds of different sacrifices. And yajna can mean different kind of sacrifices, whether it is a sacrifice, whether you're working very hard for the family, for the country, so all these yajnas are meant to satisfy Sri Krishna, because our consciousness should be that if I'm working hard for the family, this family is not really mine, because the soul is not born, it's unborn, it is not born of my flesh. The soul belongs to Sri Krishna. Mamayamsa Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. It eternally belongs to the fragmented particle of Sri Krishna. So, somehow or the other, the soul, according to one's karma, has been born in a particular place, particular parents, particular country, particular condition. And if one has got an elevated consciousness, then one will think that this actually is the property of Sri Krishna. Krishna is the enjoyer of this particular jiva, meaning this jiva has to be taught how to serve Sri Krishna. A servant serves, the master enjoys. So this is the concept. And eventually, this master that we are serving or we are intending to serve is not somebody who is a dictator, where when so many people start serving a particular person, then that person thinks that I am the Lord and master of everything I serve. Like what we just saw with Donald Trump, the denial of his defeat, and he thought that he even went to make a statement that even if I shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue, Nobody can do anything. Fifth Avenue is one of the largest avenues, the busiest in New York City. And it's like Michigan Avenue in downtown Chicago, or it's like Yonge Street and Dundas Street in Toronto. So like that, he says that because what it means is basically it is so crowded, and if I pull out a gun and if I shoot anybody, nobody can touch me. Such arrogance. So that is not the arrogance in the topmost leader, Sri Krishna. Krishna himself says that I am indeed the Bhokta. Yes, I am. Sarva Yagya, Sarva Tapasya. All the austerities, all the Yagya Tapasya. Bhoktaram Sarva Yagya Tapasyam, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. I am the Lord and Master of all the lokas. Lokas means the entire creation. Material lokas and spiritual lokas. Material planets and spiritual planets. But at the same time, he also says, and which is so true, Surat Sarva Bhutanam. I am indeed the well-wisher of each and every living entity. So which we do not find in these leaders, no matter where you go. No matter how pious that leader may be. They have to be Raj Rishis. They have to be true devotees. Prabhupada mentions this to many times. He wrote to Indira Gandhi. He wrote to Mahatma Gandhi. That now that, we have got our independence, you are a very famous man. You should teach the concepts of Bhagavad Gita, which are dear to you, beyond politics. And people will follow. Teach them Krishna consciousness. But he never heard back from Mahatma Gandhi. And then it is said that after 2 or 3 weeks, the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi came to light, and he was assassinated in Ramghat in Delhi during a morning prayer. So the point is that so many people with different kinds of isms, nationalism, patriotism, etc., all these things fail to bring true peace unless and until we acknowledge one God, Vasudeva Kutumbam. That is the most important thing in Sanatan. Sanatan Dharma is not just Hindus. Like I mentioned, Hinduism is a misnomer. It does not exist in any of our Vedic scriptures. There is no such word as Hindu. If anybody has seen it, please show it to me. I have done quite a bit of research myself, and I trust Srila Prabhupada's statement. So the settlement across the Indus River was called Indus by those persons who lived across the Khyber Pass, where the Indus River, or the Sindh Nadi in Hindi, or in Sanskrit, the Sindhu Nadi. So, which was called Indu because of the northwestern frontier province inhabitants, which were more or less those Malechas, the Mughals. They could not pronounce properly. Their pronunciations changed. And then when the British came, the further the pronunciation changed from Indus to Hindus. So it is a misnomer. So the entire creation or the entire world, whether spiritual or material, is Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan means eternal. Dharma means the constitutional position or the inherent duty of an entity that does not change in the past, present, or future. Or in other words, those who have studied science, the word is absolute truth or absolute. Or there are some numbers in science that they're considered absolute, where they're already been proven, and then there's no further research required as such. So for example, when we say gravity, the absolute truth about gravity is 9.8 meters per second square. It is already proven the speed of gravity. When Newton found the apple, felt the apple fall on his head while he was sitting under a tree, and then from that point onwards, he started researching, and then the calculation of the apple's speed, that at what speed it came down and hit him on the head, and the gravity, as long as within the gravity, any object, it falls from a height, it will fall at a speed of 9.8 meters per second square. So that is the acceleration, etc. Sound has been proven that sound travels from one point to one point B if there is no interruption at 323 meters per second square. That is the speed of sound. And like that, the speed of light, etc. All these things are known as absolute truths. Like pi in mathematics, 22 divided by 7 is known as the Greek alphabet pi, which has a representation of the circle, etc. Of course, we are not here in a mathematics or a scientific class, but I'm trying to kind of give an analogous an analogy here what absolute truth means. Absolute truth means it always remains the same. So Satyam Param Dhimahi, which was described in the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, is Nandanandan Krishna, Yashodanandan Krishna, his incarnations, his spiritual worlds, his associates, his name, his form, his pastimes, and the words that he speaks, which is the Vedas, they are non-different from him with that pure message that leads to his ultimate destination is Satyam Param Dhimahi. So Nigam means these are the Vedas. Vedas means to know. And by nature, because we are in this material world, we are covered with the three modes of material nature. So the Jiva wants to enjoy. Our natural tendency is to enjoy. And why is it that we would like to enjoy? Because we are parts and parcels of Sri Krishna. I have explained that before. I have a woolen shawl right now, right here on me. And if I take a small thread from my woolen shawl, I don't know if you can see this, but I've grabbed the thread on the end of my shawl. The thread, the quality of this thread is exactly the same as the entire wooden shawl. Just like the chemical composition of a small drop of water in an ocean is the same as the entire ocean. So similarly, because Krishna is fully independent, Krishna is the Bhokta, we as the Jivas also have inherited that quality of enjoyment. We have inherited that quality of enjoyment, but the difference is he is Vibhu. He is very, very great, infinite, and we are Anu. We are atomic in nature. So it is the duty of the atom to serve the Vibhu. Just like Prabhupada gives this example that there is a lot of sophisticated machinery that can go into the making of a car or a plane, and lots of sophisticated equipment. And then when the mechanic is working on it, and sometimes what happens is, if you have gone to your own mechanic in the car shop to get your oil change or maybe to get some work done, you see sometimes that the mechanic has opened up the entire engine and so many parts and components are lying on the floor or in the pan or in his cart, and lots of screws and bolts and nuts and wires and springs and so many components. Now when he is fixing everything, and while sometimes it is chaotic in a mechanic shop, sometimes they lose parts. They lose a little screw, very important screw, or a very important particular spring, it's lost. So then they have to order a new one. They call the parts shop and they say, you know what, we have to order it, I can't find this. Or or sometimes they just blame it on the customer, that when you brought this in the shop, this part was missing. A lot of times it happens. So anyways, the point here is that little spring that is missing, or a little chip in the entire brain of the computer of the car, if it is burnt or missing, or it is some or the other, it has got some disconnection with it, then the entire car will be stalled. And that part, the moment that spring comes from the parts store, that person has to pay a lot of money, because it is billed to the customer, $55 for a small spring like that. And it doesn't even cost to make, probably $1 in the factory. But that is how it is, exploitation. There is no such thing as fair business these days. So person has to pay, and the mechanic plus on top of that will charge his 20% on the $50 that has been billed to his shop, and like that, and then to replace that part, money. But the point is that after the car is repaired, it is taken out, and suddenly if they find that old spring on the floor, that spring now goes in the garbage, because it is for a particular car, particular year, particular model, and then it is useless at this point. So what happens? The spring or the little part has been disassociated with the main part, and it becomes useless. But the moment it is associated with the main body or the component of the car, then it is very useful. We have given this example even of our finger, for example. But says there's many times accidents happen, people's fingers get cut or something like that. This happened to my father actually. We had a factory in my childhood. I remember that we were manufacturers of these plastic injection molding parts, and most of our plastic materials that we made went into the pharmaceutical industry, like the caps and the bottles, etc. for the pharmaceutical industry. So my father was a very hard worker. We were very, small scale, small industry. We had some workers, but sometimes the workers never showed up. So my father, we had orders to complete. So on weekends, I used to go help him, with whatever the orders were. And my father used to, in the heat of that factory, take out his shirt and in his undershirt, used to operate the machine himself. Sometimes 8 hours, 10 hours. My mother used to be worried, it's late at night, you're not home yet. Many a nights, she would not eat until my father came home until probably midnight, 1 a.m. And then after he had a long day, he would eat and then go to sleep and next day go back to the factory. But anyways, one day I was there with him on a weekend after, and suddenly he tried to open one of while the machine was being operated, he tried to do something, and without going into the details, the machine suddenly closed on him. The die, it jammed, and his little finger got smashed in it. And then I still remember I was just a child, and then he just took his handkerchief and wrapped it really tight, and then we just took a cab to the nearest hospital. And I still remember the gory side. His little finger was like kind of dangling and hanging, and it was so scary, especially for a small child to see that father is suffering like this. So then somehow the other in the hospital, they were able to kind of revive that finger, put some stitches and do some dressing, and after a few weeks it was okay, just that it was bent at a certain angle, but at least it was operational. But can you imagine many places, in many accidents, etc., when the parts of a certain part of a body is dismembered and the doctors cannot do anything, then where does it end up? It ends up in the biohazard bin, in the garbage. And then if you tell the doctor, says, take this is your finger. Oh, you don't even want to see it. It's so scary, because it is disassociated with the main body. So the body, when the fingers, the hands, the legs, etc., when they actually work hard and they feed the mouth with nice food, rasgullas, puris and sabjis and rice, etc. And then one day, Prabhupada mentions that they all wanted to rebel. Like, why should we work hard and everything goes in the mouth and the mouth is enjoying? So then the moral of the story is that if the food goes into the mouth, everything is nourished in the body. Every cell in the body is nourished. So the finger doesn't have to be fed separately, or the hand doesn't have to be fed separately, or the legs don't have to be fed separately. Once the food, so yasmin tushte jagat tushta. Please try to understand this principle. This is Sanatan Dharma. That when we satisfy Sri Krishna, then the entire world is satisfied. And the Upanishads say that if you want to water the tree, then you have to, a huge tree, then what you can do is simply water the roots, and each and every trunk, branches, sub branches, twigs, leaf, they will all receive the nourishment. So that is the most important thing for universal peace, because once we acknowledge that is why Srila Prabhupada started this International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It is not some International Society for Hindu consciousness. It is not this International Society for Krishna Consciousness is Krishna means all attractive. The all attractive God who's got the six opulences. One who is unlimited beauty, unlimited strength, unlimited fame, unlimited renunciation, unlimited knowledge, unlimited wealth. So all these, if they are found in one particular person, that person is so attractive. Through our practical experiences, we see that somebody who is very beautiful, very handsome, Bollywood, Hollywood stars, they stop traffic. Please, can I get an autograph? When they are in a mall or at the airport, they are thronged and surrounded by so many people and children and teenagers. Autograph, please, autograph, please. People get attracted to beauty. When somebody has a lot of knowledge, like Nobel laureates, Albert Einstein, and so many other wonderful personalities who are so knowledgeable, like right now, Dr. Fauci, who is like the person everybody wants to hear in terms of his opinion on the COVID-19. So knowledge is something that people get attracted to. So like this, strength, knowledge, beauty, fame, all these things, renunciation attract people. But if somebody has got all these six, Shada Aishwarya Purna, Iti Bhagavana. Bhag means opulences, and Van means one who possesses these opulences. That is Bhagavan. So that is why regardless, the Vedas do say that Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam. Krishna has got, the all attractive has got many names, many forms. Advaitam there's nobody equal to him. Dvaita means second, or somebody who is equal is known as Dvaita. Advaita means there is no second, because nobody has got all these 6 opulences all at once and simultaneously to an unlimited extent. So that only Shyam Sundar Sri Krishna has, or his expansions have that. And that is why if we understand that, and not only that, we understand that Surat Sarva Bhutana, he is the well-wisher of all. And we have proved that many times. We have mentioned that. How is he a well-wisher? A friend in need is a friend indeed. A friend in need is a friend indeed. He is a Surat Sarva Bhutanam. Surat Sarva means friend of all, well-wisher of all. Sarva Bhutanam. Sarva means all. Bhutana means all living entities, just not human beings. Just not the entities who have got obtained the human form of life. So Surat Sarva Bhutana, because he is going, no matter in our journey, due to our bad karma, we can become an ant, we can become a tiger, we can become a liar, we can become a mouse, we can become a demon, we can become a demigod, we can get so many different forms of life, 8,400,000 species of life. But Krishna is always traveling as his expansion with us as Paramatma. He's like a friend. A friend in need is a friend indeed. Never, ever leaving our side. That is a real friend. That is the definition of a real Surat, a real well-wisher. Otherwise, what are our well-wishers in this material world? They are limited to their lifespan, limited to my lifespan, your lifespan, limited to our lifespans. In this past year 2020, and even in 2021, so many good friends, well-wishers, we see they have gone, disappeared within a few days, either due to some kind of a disease or COVID or whatever the case may be. They may be very good people. They may always wish us well, and we always wish them well, but that tie is cut, finished. It is not permanent. But Surat Sarva Bhutanam, Krishna is eternally our best friend. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu, this which is the same thing as Surat Sarva Bhutanam. Dina Bandhu, he is a friend of all. He is the friend of the fallen. Dina Bandhu Jagatpate. Jagatpate means he is the master of all, which is the same thing Krishna says in this verse, that he is Sarva Loka Maheshwar. Jagatpate equals Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. So if we understand this part, Krishna says, that if you understand this fully, these points, that I am the enjoyer of everything, number one. Number two, I am the master of the entire creation. And number three, if you understand that I am the ever well-wisher, eternal well-wisher of all, then Gyatva Mam Shantirichati, one will attain two priests. But right now our whole world is divided in opinion, divided in the ways of thinking. As many munis, that many mats. Too many cooks spoil the broth. Nowadays we do not have like one scripture, like it says in the Bhagavad Gita Mahatmya, that if there is one scripture, let it be the Bhagavad Gita. That will help, that will be the beacon and guide us. If there is one God, let that be Vasudeva Krishna. But this one God concept, even the Muslims talk about La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. What does that mean? La ilaha illallah, that means there is no other God. That is the exact translation from Arabic to English. La ilaha illallah, Bismillah al-Rahim. Bismillah means all auspicious. Al-Rahim means the most merciful. So it is true. What they are saying is true. But the problem is that they do not accept that God is a person. They do not accept that he can be worshipped in a deity form. And the entire religion of Islam is based, and the impetus is materialism. At the end of the day, our goal is to reach Jannat, to reach the heavenly planets, by doing zakat, by giving donations in charity, by fasting, etc. Here Krishna says and their fasting is pretty rigorous. Those who know of the Muslim fasting in the month of Ramadan or Ramzan, not to drink or eat or do not drink a single drop of water even for more than 14 hours in the middle of the summer. It is very commendable. Indeed it is. It is very, very austere. Even small children, in the faith of Islam, they right from childhood, they are taught how to fast in Ramzan. But at the end of the day, Krishna says here, which probably they do not have information of more details of the Vedas, the Nigama that we are discussing right now. Very saying Krishna very clearly that Bhoktaram Sarva Yajna and Tapasya. So all sacrifices, Yajna and Tapasya, including austerities, fasting. I am indeed the enjoyer. It is meant for my for obtaining me. Vasudeva Paraveda, Vasudeva Paramakaha, Vasudeva Param Jnanam, Vasudeva Param Tapaha, Vasudeva Parodharmo, Vasudeva Paragatihi. So if we are obtaining knowledge and if it does not lead to Krishna consciousness or Vasudeva, then it is useless. Vasudeva Paraveda. So after studying the Vedas or studying any kind of religious scripture, if we do not come to the conclusion that Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samatma Sudurlabh, then the studying of the Veda is this Shrama Evahi Kevalam. The Vedas is capable of giving us a lot, so much so that it is considered to be the Kalpataru. Kalpataru, it's like whatever you desire, the Vedas is like that kind of a tree. Actually, there are lots of desire trees in the spiritual world, in Vaikuntha, and especially in Golok Vrindavan. Brahmaji says in the Brahma Samhita, Chintamani Prakarasad Mashu Kalpa Vruksha Lakshat Vruteshu Surbhir Abhir Palayantam Lakshmi Sahasrashata Sambrama Sevyamanam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Chintamani Prakarasad Masu. The land of Golok Vrindavan is made of touchstone with lots of wonderful jewels. Chintamani. Prakara Sadmasu Kalpa Vruksha Lakshat Priteshu. Kalpa Vruksha, the desire trees. Kalpa Taror, the word that is used in this verse is Kalpa Taror. And Kalpa Vruksha, Taro and Vruksha are the same, exactly the same meaning. Taro and Vruksha. So there is permeated, the land of Golok Vrindavan is permeated with Kalpa Vriksha Lakshat Vruteshu. Lakshat means lakhs, thousands and thousands of them. There are there in Golok Vrindavan. And the devotees are always, wishing so many things. Krishna through Yog Maya has made that arrangement that whatever my devotees desire, please supply it to them. And especially the pure devotion that is there in Golok, and even in the pure devotion in the Vedas, which is there. The Vedas is like the milk, we can say. And in the milk, there's so many things that are hidden. Can we guess what they are? In the milk is hidden yogurt. In the yogurt, there is hidden buttermilk. In the buttermilk, there is hidden butter. In the butter, there is further condensed into further khoya or deeply condensed, what do you call that in English? Like a cake, mawa, which is even further condensed. So like that, it is all present in the milk. The milk has all these ingredients in it, but it is a matter of churning it and bringing the best out of the best. So the Vedas is like a desire tree. It has many things. And it's like when we go to a shop, and if the father wants to buy something for the birthday for the child, and the child says, give me that 5 rupee toy. So the father says, okay, fine. But he's capable of giving a 500 rupee toy. Similarly, this Vedas is capable of giving the highest of the highest, and therefore it is known as the Kalpataro. It is known as the desire tree. In Golok Vrindavan, these millions and millions of desire trees fulfill the desires, so that how to enhance Krishna's leelas, how to please Krishna, devotees are making different plans. And through the agency of Yogamaya, The desire trees supply the ingredients, supply the different things that are required, not for the sense gratification of the devotee, but for the gratification or to please Sri Krishna. So that is what the nigam or the actual proper use of the Vedas is. Nigama, kalpataro, kalpataro, whatever we desire, the Vedas can give us. So another thing, we can understand that there are so many things that the Vedas is dealing with, many subject matters. Srila Prabhupada mentions in this purport somewhere, if I recollect, that the Vedas has many different types of subject matters that it deals with. There are things like the Ayurveda, like the science of life, Dhanurved, the science of warfare, etc. So many different subject matters are there in the Vedas. So we have, including material and spiritual. So we have to figure out what is it that we require, what is it that we can, what is it that we can take full advantage of the Vedas, that is there to our advantage, that we can take and get the highest of the highest out of the Vedas. If somebody wants material science, the Vedas can give us that. If somebody wants, because everything that we study in school and colleges in this material world is actually somewhere a part of the Vedas, like the Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga is a part of the Vedas. Sankhya Yoga means the analytical study of material sciences. But ultimately, the material science leads to the ultimate science, which is studying of Paramatma or the super soul, which in most of the today's schools and colleges, they analyze a lot in the labs and in the scientific world, material science. But then their conclusion is not to find by the deduction method, the method of deduction, neti. The method of deduction is used ultimately to find out the truth, uh, which is a very hard process. It is not necessary to go through that process of deduction or the neti. So, but even though that process is given in the Vedas, and that process is the 24 different elements of Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga is described by Kapil Dev to Mother Dehuti in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we will come across some of these different wonderful teachings. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there might be many verses that are very technical in nature, and sometimes that may not be very what do you call, intriguing or very rustic in nature. But what we will do is, as we move on in the future, we will choose some choice verses of the way of the Srimad Bhagavatam in some of these chapters that really are very fundamental in nature. That way we can take home with us the most important pure message of pure devotional message of pure devotion. So this is the first line, as I was mentioning, that Nigama Kalpa Taro Galitam Phalam. It is the desire tree of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of the desire tree known as the Vedas. So like this, what I would like to do is I think I will stop here now. Sometimes I know the classes go on quite for a long time, and devotees have a working day the next day. So I will try to finish them by about 8:15ish or so, and then 10, 15 minutes, whatever devotees need, we can do the question answer session. Um, and then we can continue until we finish the verse. But there's a lot more in this verse, and it's such an amazing verse that that as we dive deeper into it, uh, Sri Krishna, who is Srimad Bhagavatam, perhaps will give us more wonderful uh, insights and rasas, nava rasas, beautiful realizations of these different um, meanings of these verses. So thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. So Nigama Kalpataro Galitam Phalam. Just to summarize this very quickly, we studied the first line partially. It is the Vedas is considered as the desire tree. It can give us material and spiritual knowledge. Even within spiritual knowledge, it can give us the topmost spiritual knowledge, or the topmost spirituality rather, or consciousness, because it is a desire tree. It can give anything that we desire. Uh, when we go to something that can give us anything, that means they should be able to give us anything. So whether it is the smallest or the large or the biggest, so the Vedas are like that. Nigama kalpotaro, the kalpataro, the imagine whatever we imagine, that tree known as the Vedas can give. But Srimad Bhagavatam is considered Galitam Phalam of that desired tree known as Vedas. The uh, most sweetest and the most uh, fructified, the most sweetest of the sweetest fruits, Galitam Phalam. Uh, Amongst the tree is the Vedas, and the most ripened fruit is Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. So, Anup Prabhu, you can take over. If you know, is Anup Prabhu there?
Yes. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and all Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas. Thank you, Prabhuji. We are very fortunate, as I mentioned every time, we are very fortunate to have you. Probably it's we have done some good work in past lives. That's why we could able to hear such nice things. And you are there to...
We have done some good work so that we could get the blessings of Srila Prabhupada. And
yes,
exactly
blessings of Srila Prabhupada. That you are there to explain all these nice things. We could understand the direct translated meaning, but the deeper meanings, that the way you are letting us know is excellent. So today we discussed about the verse 3. But we are discussing the first line only up to now. Nigama kalpatarur galitam phalam. The meaning of this is this Bhagavatam is the most matured fruit of all Vedas and all spiritual knowledge in this world. So Krishna is the enjoyer and the creator, and he is the well-wisher of all the creation. If we satisfy Krishna, we satisfy the whole creation. The way, if we disassociate in any of our body parts, then that goes to the garbage. That way, similarly, if we disassociate, or when we disassociate ourselves from Krishna, we have no value. So that is the best thing I learned today. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, again. So a couple of more announcements, like February 2nd, Tuesday is disappearance day of Srila Jayadev Goswami, who is the creator or author of Gita Govinda, a very famous poem about the pastimes of Sri Radha Krishna. And this Gita Govinda is read to Jagannath every day. And also Tuesday, February 2nd is disappearance
of... You know why the Gita Govinda is read to Lord Jagannath every day? There's a secret. Because it is full of Madhurya Rasa. Full of beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna union and separation. And Lord Jagannath is loving, relishing. Mahaprabhu used to relish Jayadeva Goswami very much in the Gambhira. He used to relish Chandidas, Vidyapati. These were all great Vaishnava poets before even Mahaprabhu appeared. And that is why Lord Jagannath, he loves to hear those are very, very high esoteric bhajans of Jayadeva Goswami that bring out the bhav of Vraj. And that is what Lord Jagannath relishes. That is why it is sung.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Also, Jayadev Goswami is the author of Dasavatar Stotram, which is very famous indeed. Also, February 2nd, Tuesday is disappearance of Srila Ramachandra Kaviraj and appearance day of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who is celebrated as one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. February 3rd, Wednesday, is disappearance day of Srila Lochan Dasa Thakurs. So we should remember them on those days. Thank you very much, all the devotees, for joining today's session. And if you have any questions, you can ask to Prabhuji. I will allow you to unmute yourself and ask questions. Thank you very much again. Have a very good evening.
Haribol, thank you, Anup Prabhu. Thank you, Asim Prabhu. And also in all the background, I want to special thanks also to Pankit Prabhu. Every time when we have the bhajans, he very nicely puts them as a slide so that everybody can relish them with the meanings while it is sung along. So special thanks to all of you. And of course, to every listener who spends the time coming here, joining us in this
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Bhagavad group. So if anybody has any questions or any comments or reflections, please feel free. I would really love to hear from you all.
Yeah, one thing, we have posted the links to all previous classes on Bhagavatam, verse 1, 2, and 1 and 2. So anybody wants to preview that, they can go and watch the YouTube videos. Thank you.
Thank you, Anup Prabhu. And we will be working very well, very soon on the entire website, where all the lectures will be available. It's going to take a little time, but it will be ready. So we have obtained two domain names. We all know about bhagavat.ca and also pureseva.ca. They are both the same. You click on any of them, it takes us to the same place, Bhaktivedanta Bhagavat Group. So, yes, anything, Prabhu's Matas, any questions or any reflections that you would like to?
Prabhuji, one simple question.
Yes.
These slokas that we are reading, serving through, are these the real Bhagavatam slokas, or they are different versions of Bhagavatam? Like these are written by Prabhu A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, or these are the original slokas, and there are maybe a different version of Bhagavata existing, I don't know. So that's why I want to clarify from you.
These are original shlokas.
Okay,
Which the Prabhupada very painstakingly, with so much dedication to his Guru Maharaj, so much compassion for all the fallen souls like us, he translated each and every word from the original Sanskrit into English and then gave his commentaries, further explaining the meanings of those verses with many parallel quotations and verses from other scriptures that support this particular verse that we are discussing, or the particular verse that Prabhupada has translated. So they are original as original can be. Vyasdev's
okay.
Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes.
Thank you.
That is what our pride is, as it is. That is one thing I can guarantee you. That's what attracted me so much, to this movement of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. There is no question of any kind of dilution or any kind of, mixing anything. As it is being presented. So you can pick up this verse from any Sanskrit bookshop. One of the biggest ones is Gita Press. They are in Banaras. They're from Hanuman Prasad Poddarji, very famous. And you will see that there's not a single letter here or there. If you open up, it's just that Srila Prabhupada has made it easy for us. Gita Press has a lot of Vedic scriptures that have been printed in the original Sanskrit, and then they have their own sadhus, different sadhus in Bharat, in India, who have given their commentaries and translation from the Sanskrit to Hindi. But if you ask me, not that I'm being prejudiced, Whatever Prabhupada has given is so amazing that because the only thing is, as I'm studying more scriptures, when I come across more different Vaishnavas' conclusions, they match. They match.
Yes.
It's like if I'm saying something in English, and if I ask you to translate it in Odia, and if you're a good translator, and if you have understood everything that I've said, then you will translate it as it is in Odia. Although the original language is English, so the original language is Sanskrit. Prabhupada translated it in English, and later on, his sincere followers made sure that it is as it is in the other different languages. Those who have understood, those who have had a good command. So they have Bhagavatam, the same Bhagavatam in Gujarati, in Odia, in Tamil, in French, in Spanish, in Portuguese, in Japanese. All these books of Srila Prabhupada have been translated into Russian, so many different languages. So they are as it is. There's no question about it. The message is pure, and it has not been diluted even an iota.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
That is our fortune. Anuprabhu, what we must have done in our last time, some or the other, we are fortunate to come across this pure message.
Yes, definitely.
Glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Definitely.
Yes, anybody else? Mata Subudhi, would you like to say a few words? You are like my guru. You are Prabhupada's disciple. If you are available, I think I see you, but maybe if you can unmute yourself. Or in the meantime, if somebody else would like to.
I may ask a question if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. Oh, this is Prem Sarovar Prabhu from Chicago. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Danvat now.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
So, although this question may not be suitable here, because this is more of a deep subject study, what we are doing as through you, thanks to you. But it's a relevant question because some of the, topics came up during the discussion today, which is we talked about Sanatana Dharma and Christianity and everything else. So to a white-bodied or Western, non-devotee, how do you explain Sanatana Dharma to him or her? Because
just as Prabhupada has explained it to us. You read Prabhupada's
but why
book.
would they accept Krishna? Sorry, please go ahead.
Okay, good question. Why will they accept? So to your question, I have a question. How is it that all these non-Indian bodies all over the world accepted Krishna consciousness? The Africans, the Americans, the British, the Australians.
I'm talking of the existing non-devotees. I'm not talking of the devotees who have already accepted. Because
No. Prabhu, please try to understand the question. Your question is being answered through a question. And I want you to analyze this again. How did those non-devotees become devotees?
Because they found the nectar of Sanatana Dharma through Prabhupada.
Okay, so we can supply them the same nectar, and it is even so more available now than in the time of Srila Prabhupada.
But the world has changed, Prabhu. That's what I'm talking about.
That is why the thing is that Mahaprabhu said that Jivan Shartak Kori Karo Paropkar. When we have conviction in our hearts, when we first hear properly and we read properly, and then when we speak, then the person listening will be convinced. And even if he's not convinced, at least the seed is planted.
I understand, Prabhu.
We may
So,
not have the purity of Srila Prabhupada, but the purity is present through Prabhupada's instructions if we speak it as it is.
if you may allow me to go deeper into this a little bit.
Sure.
I understand the philosophy there. That's no issues there. The point I'm making is, in today's corporate world, if you want to bring Krishna consciousness to the corporate world at scale, not just 1 or 2%, how would we approach them? Because we've been doing book distribution, and the experience has been, the moment we talk about Krishna or something related to that, you've got the response that, okay, you know what, it is related to God, we are not interested. So the point I'm trying to make is, how do we make it into a message which is contemporary? Prabhupada's message was perfect, and he being the
Not
nectar,
was, is. It's an absolute term that you have to always remember.
Mhm.
Prabhupada's message is perfect. It is eternally true.
Yes,
Past, present, and future.
indeed.
So I understood what you're saying, maybe further deeper from what you're asking. We cannot. All we can do is try sincerely. And if we have a very sincere desire, then Paramatma is then every part. If our goal, please try to understand this very, very sincerely, Prabhuji. Most of the time, the preachings that we see are ambitious. People are preaching out of ambition, not out of compassion. So when there is a true element of compassion or a true element of well-being for the other, personally, I don't want anything. I just want to give you something best of the best. If that genuine attitude is there, then the Paramatma is situated in the other person's heart, and then that person will become conducive. Most of the time where we fail is because we are ambitious and our attitude is corporate type. Even with book distribution or even with catching devotees and making devotees. It is just to please our superiors. It is just to please that I'm doing a thing. It takes a subtle form of sense gratification. That I'm the doer. I'm telling you the truth. This is my realization. And I'm praying every day, anytime I sit on the Vyasasana. My only goal and desire is, even if it is one person, it is for the benefit of minimum two, myself and him or her. There is no other agenda. Nothing. So in spite of doing that, we have to understand that not everybody is meant to become Krishna conscious right away. Krishna has mentioned that in the Bhagavad Gita. Bahunam janmanamante jnanvan mam prapadyate Vasudeva sarvamiti samatma sudurlabha. After many births, Bahunam janmanamante jnanvan mam prapadyate, one attains knowledge that Vasudeva sarvamiti, I am the Supreme Lord. Vasudeva is the Supreme Lord. Samatma sadurlabha. Such a personality is very rare, durlabha. And further on, Krishna goes on, even after shortlisting the group of Mahatmas, he says one more wonderful verse. Manushyanam sahasresu kaschid yatate siddhaye. And out of millions and millions, one attains the siddhi or the perfection. So becoming a sadhu is not perfection, but becoming a Vrajvasi or in the mood of Vraj, that is perfection. That is the meaning of siddhi. So there might be many different types of devotees, non-devotees. Let's begin with them. Not everybody is. But if our heart and soul is crying for them, like Prahlad Maharaj, like Srila Prabhupada, we can never become them, but at least we can try to imbibe that spirit that no, you are in need of Krishna consciousness. It will do you good. Trust me. And I don't need anything from you. Not a single penny. Just take this. And you try your best. Krishna is even sometimes testing the preachers. That how sincere did he not test Prabhupada? Prabhupada, he was in Vrindavan. So many times he went to Delhi by the local third-class train, begging with printers, please print this for me. I don't have money. I am a sannyasi, I am a bhikshuk. Sometimes some of these business people said, okay, I will only do so many copies. I cannot do a lot. Some gave free, some said, I'll have to charge you next time. I have also a living to make. I have children. I have bills to pay. So wherever Prabhupada got his publications printed, he went personally on the streets of Delhi, 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Sometimes he even fainted, selling back to God at Bhagavad Darshan, 2 paisa. People used to come around and revive him by sprinkling water on him. Delhi, Vrindavan translations, publications, printing, no help. 1 month he sat outside on Bombay, India Shipping Corporation. Guru Maharaj said that I must go to the West and preach this message of Mahaprabhu. I don't have any money, but I know that this lady who is the owner of the shipping corporation, she has many ships going all over the world. Perhaps, I've heard she is a Vaishnavi. She can give me a place in one of her ships. After 1 month, finally he got to see her. Such a big person, not easy to even enter the compound. After coming here, he lived in an office, small office, and he used to take his showers early in the morning in the office building, in a basin, wash basin, because there is no physical showers in an office building, with a tumbler, just before everybody started coming. He moved to the Bowery, one of the worst areas in New York. He shared an apartment with a drug addict in the middle of the night who went on a trip and started screaming. Prabhupada had to leave that apartment right away. He begged, take it. This will do you good. He never came to America to make dollars. He had no other agenda. Surut Sarva Bhutanam is Krishna, and so Sakshat Haritvena Samasta Sastre. Uktas Tatha Bhavitaiva Sadbi, Kinto Prabhoya Priyeva Tasya, Vande Guru Shri Charnaravindam. He's got all the qualities of Krishna, a true Acharya. Sakshat Haritvena. So, my humble request to all of you, however small this group is, keep it pure. Even if we are inviting somebody, it is only for their good. And then you will see the difference. And again, Krishna says, success depends. They should not be attached to the success. That is the basics of Bhagavad Gita. Offer it to Krishna. If a particular living entity is meant, due to his minded independence, usage, to stay in this material world and to be averse from Krishna, then so be it. What can you do? You can lead the horse to the water, but you cannot make it drink. But if the difference here is that if our purpose, sincerity of purpose is there, that it pleases Krishna, the effort itself. It's the effort that pleases Krishna. And if the devotee is so sincere, and if he has so much love for others, automatically Krishna will deliver them. If Krishna can deliver a great demon like Hiranyakashipu, just because Prahlad Maharaj was a devotee, and Prahlad Maharaj has a soft corner, that, I wish my father who is a demon, he can be delivered, he can be absolved of all his sins. That is Vaishnava. And that is our goal at Bhaktivedanta Bhagavad Group. So, we want to change the whole world. That is a very ambitious. But we want to change the world to please Krishna. Let's be honest. How many of us think like that? Very sincerely, how many of us really say, how many of us really do things that will actually please Krishna? In our every activity. So first we have to correct that within ourselves, elevate our consciousness. And along the way, whatever we can do, we do. But don't ever think for a moment that we can make devotees. No. Even today, whatever is happening, Srila Prabhupada is running the show. Ekaki amar nahi paye bal. Apnar to Bangali. You know this. Ekaki amar nahi paye bal harinam sankirtone. Tumi kripa kori shraddha bindu deya. Deho Krishna naam dhane. Krishna se tomar. Krishna dite par. Tomar shakti ache. Ami to kangal. Krishna Krishna boli dhai tawa pache pache. Dayal Vaishnav Thakur. ঠিক আছে?
Prabhu খুবই ভালো, very nice. Yes, so the reason I brought it up is because there's a new initiative going on, and if you have time, sometime next weekend, I'd like to spend 5 minutes on that. This is exactly what we are trying to do, is connect the hearts, not to raise dollars, and that is an initiative called Bhakti Community worldwide, and we'll talk about that next time. BhaktiCommunity.com. It's basically to bring.
Who is doing it?
His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu is leading that worldwide. Yes, yes, but it's definitely something where it's about the heart and nothing to do with book distribution or dollars.
Very nice.
I liked your point.
If that is the real theme and that is the real intention, you know, I wish all the success to everyone involved in it.
Thank you, Prabhu. So we'll talk about that more later, if you give us some time. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
But again, just try. That's it. Leave the results to Krishna.
Indeed.
Because everyone has a history. You, as an example, one more thing I would like to add. Let's say one person has more than one child. And same books, same teacher or same parents teaching the same thing. One child can grasp everything very quickly. One child needs again and again and again and again to be hammered. Why is that so? Because it brings a package from past lifetimes. Either the karma, the intellectual, the mental capacity, etc. It is a part of the package.
Right.
So similarly, even when Srila Prabhupada came, not everybody became a devotee. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, not everybody became a devotee. When Krishna came and he gave the entire Bhagavad Gita field of Kurukshetra, and he tried to explain so many things to Duryodhana before the Kurukshetra war. Blockage, complete, not interested. Father and son, Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana, complete blockage on Keshav and company. We do not understand your language. Sorry. Not even the enough land will we give to the Pandavas that will hold on the pinhead. That's what Duryodhana said. So let me ask you then, or to all rather, or even to myself, how can I change the world like that? Even when the Supreme Personality, yes, one second, Anuprabhu. Even when the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Mahaprabhu himself, great personalities, Mahabhagavas like Srila Prabhupada, when they came, those were fortunate. Even though they may be very sinful, but at least they were conducive to receiving the message. Or at least they were not, they were not averse, or they were not inimical to such personalities. So then they got the desired result of at least the Bhakti Lata Bij was planted in their hearts. Guaranteed next few births, human births. and guaranteed that they will get association of Vaishnavas, guaranteed that they will progress. And along the way, as they advance, they will be more and more empowered by Sri Krishna to do a particular work. Prabhupada never thought that he was the doer. Prabhupada used to cry many times when his disciples came to him. Prabhupada, today we printed the first version of the French Bhagavatam. Prabhupada simply looked at it and he cried. And he said that, my Guru Maharaj, I'm so fortunate he sent you young boys and girls to help me. Otherwise, what can an old man like me do? Do we have that attitude? The day we have that attitude, then, Krishna will consider qualified to change the whole world. Or at least make a good impression. So it's the humility and pure compassion that can win over everyone, including winning Krishna's heart to give us the most difficult seva, which are not a lot of devotees can do. And for that, we have to purify ourselves. Very important. I'm in the process myself, I'm struggling. And I'm praying that one day, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, that purity keeps coming, that mercy keeps pouring, so that I can just simply 100% selflessly just serve him. That is the purpose of this Bhakti Vedanta Bhagavad group. We don't, if we wanted, we could have, with the technology, there are so many of very nice young people here. Facebook, this book, that book, advertise, bring people, number of hits on YouTube, number of hits on Facebook. I'm not interested in that. Let the purity speak for itself. So thank you. It was a good question. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Prabhu. Dhanwad, Prabhu.
Yes, Anup Prabhu, you had something to say.
I was just trying to add something to the question, the Prem Sarovar Prabhuji's question. I think it's not only about the spreading Krishna consciousness only, it's spreading goodness. The time we are in right now, like in the Kali Yuga, people are not preferring to listen to any such type of things. If you, instead of putting Bhagavatam Katha, if you put a Bollywood dance program, or some kind of joke somebody is saying with a pinch of vulgarity, then I'll definitely sure 100 people will join tomorrow. So that's the kind of time we are in. So it will be very difficult, like Prem Saravarji Prabhuji said, like when we approach somebody, they are hesitant. That's because of the time, I think, and we.
Anup Prabhu, can you hear? I think you got the bad connection, internet connection.
I think his connection has dropped out.
Yeah. Hopefully he'll come back in a minute or two. In the meantime, anybody else has anything to add or comment? Is see Anup online? Oh, now we just lost him, did we? No, he's there. Asim Prabhu, see if you are able to get.
Sorry, I was disconnected. I think my computer.
Here he is back. Okay, Haribol.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, Anup Prabhu.
Haribol.
Yeah, you're back. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, did you hear, or it was? No, I was saying the time we are in right now is a difficult time. So people are not interested in this kind of talks. Like if we put a Bollywood dance or something different, they will join. But so we have to put our effort 100 times to convince anybody. But we should live up to God, live up to Krishna, like what happens. But we can try. We should try. That's what. Thank you.
We should try and leave the results to Krishna.
Very well.
Yeah, because this is such a wonderful thing that we want to share. You know, we have that inside us. Oh, this is such a nice thing. You know, I want to share with everyone. So that is a very good quality. But you know, if I come to your house as an example, and you want to share, let's say you make nice eggplant, very nice Bengali style. But if I do not like eggplant, then what can you do? You tried, right? As an example, I'm just giving a very simple example. Haribol, Prem Sarovar, Prabhu?
Yes, of course, Prabhu. And we are missing you. You know.
Yeah.
We don't see you anymore.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
We try, but we have to actually, you know, at the same time develop our sincerity of purpose should be very pure. That's all. That's the first thing that I give importance to.
So
anyway,
if
yeah.
somebody don't like my eggplant bhurta, then I'll try to serve them eggplant curry or eggplant, different kind of eggplant items. So if he or she likes the other one, then he will or she will start from there.
No, my point was that, you know, you lovingly prepared something so nice that everybody loves when you make that eggplant or when your wife makes it. But unfortunately, you know, when I come, I don't like it. As an example, I'm saying, don't get me wrong, I will eat it. Next time we have a program. So, but the point is that, you know, what can you do? You know, you try your best, you serve, you request, but then the person says, no, Baba, I don't want it. You know, so then that's it. Then that's because then, you know, it was not in their, you know, in their good fortune to have it. So maybe it is not time yet for them. But something is planted. That is for sure. Some sukriti they will get, even for that conversation, or even for buying that book. So Hare Krishna, thank you all very much.
Haribol Prabhuji. Like it was very nice conversation was going on, and it just clicked in my mind that in 17th lesson of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna was talking about this. Arjun asked, "Ye sastra vidhim utsrujya yajante shraddhayanvita." So how do you, Krishna? He was asking Krishna, how do you consider their nishtha? I mean, there's a shraddha. So Krishna saying, like replying back that how their nishtha will be considered, like sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. So like Krishna explained, like yajante satvika deva and food and yajna, tapa, danam, like all those different kind of. So I believe something is like, if you can connect this, I know you know how to connect this, but I found a connection over there, like in 17th lesson.
The connection is simple, that depending on the mode of material nature one is in, one is extremely tamasic in nature, he's not going to accept that message. One who is rajasic, perhaps they will. One who is in the mode of goodness, they will. And again, different times, persons can, the same person may be in tamasic or rajasic or sattvic or tamasic rajasic, rajasic sattvic, or a permutation combination of all these three. So that is why Krishna propagates that one should always associate with sattvic things. Even food should be eaten within after 3 hours of preparation. And donations, dan is also sattvic, dan is also, donations are rajasic, donations are tamasic. One should give donation to the proper person. all these things, so that it will have the desired effect. So the connection only that I can say is that when you are trying to give Krishna consciousness to somebody, it all depends on what their consciousness level is. And if they're going to use their minute independence, even though they may not be of the most uh, conducive or even a little conducive, but if they still come slowly, that power of association can change it. And that is the whole idea of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, to elevate our Krishna consciousness, to elevate our consciousness so that, ultimately we realize what our final position is and what our final goal is. So that's what it is. Yeah, we cannot make anybody devotees. If somebody says, I made a devotee, he's a fool, number one. Not even the big acharyas, they never claim that. It's a question of, bad statement when somebody says that. Egoistic. I've never heard or read anywhere where Prabhupada said that I made devotees. No. Because they never think that they always think it is their Guru Maharajas. And their Guru Maharaj thinks it is their Guru Maharajas. Goes all the way to Radharani's lotus feet. So it's everybody's minded independence that determines the course. Also, along with mercy. Like another example, very nice example that comes to my mind, Prabhupada's quotation. The mercy of the spiritual master, or you can say Vaishnavas, pure Vaishnavas, is just exactly like the sunshine. The sun is shining equally upon the mountains, upon the rivers, upon the valleys, upon the oceans, upon the earth, equally. But what can you do if some refuse to come out into the sunlight? How is that for an example, Prem Sarovar Prabhu?
So in that case, I would just leave it to Krishna's will. We tried our best, as you said.
Yes, we try our best. That is the thing. We try our best and then leave it to Krishna. As long as our sincerity of purpose is pure, the result will eventually be pure. If not right away, maybe a few years, maybe a few lifetimes, whoever we are approaching. It's a win-win situation though, definitely. Just because we are not capable to assimilate the results right away or understand the results, or we are expecting a result right away, then I think that is misleading. We are fooling ourselves. How many births has it taken us to come to this level of Krishna consciousness? Do you and I know? Perhaps we have already gone through millions and billions of births. So I'm not trying to discourage, I'm just trying to give you a proper perspective based on what I understand. And I'm sure your Guru Maharaj is very much seasoned enough to maybe answer this question that you have. And he can throw some light next time you have a chance to communicate with him. Please ask him and share what answer he gives you.
But the answer you gave, you being an exalted devotee, is good enough for me, which you said,
No,
and
I'm
I
not
understand.
exalted. Please, all I'm doing is trying to recollect whatever I can remember based on what I have heard and read from senior Vaishnavas or in the movement, and of course Srila Prabhupada's teaching. So, but anyways,
my takeaway is,
sorry?
I'm sorry. My takeaway is, do it from the heart with clean conscience and leave the rest to Krishna. If that's
Correct.
the mode we do, as you said, then whatever results come is Krishna's will and Prabhupada's mercy, right?
Yes. Even that is why, you are very fortunate. You're Bengali. Those who understand Bengali, who read them, I wish I had learned it at a very young age. There's so much nectar from the Vaishnava acharyas in their compositions, and the humility is expressed through these Bengali Vaishnava bhajans. Like in bhajan, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Gopinath Mama Nivedana Shuno. He says that Vishayi Durjana Ami to Vishai Durjana, Kichu Nai Moragun. I do not have any transcendental qualities. But his preaching is what we are reaping the fruits of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's blueprint. That's what my Guru Maharaj said. Prabhupada understood Bhaktivinoda Thakur's blueprint, which he learned from his Guru Maharaj. So preaching is an amazing. It's a thing from the heart, a connection of the heart. Like you said in your, what was that organization?
bhakticommunity.com.
Or Bhakti Community. Yeah. So you mentioned that the goal was it's reaching out to the heart, not the pockets.
That is
Something
true.
like that.
There's nobody asking for pockets because it's the connection of the heart. Then over 9 months of training, whoever wants to stay, and then the pockets come to sustain that.
Hare Krishna. So thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. See you all next.
All Prabhu.
Actually, yeah.
Hello Prabhu. Pranam Dandavat. How are you? Everything fine. Nice speech. I like
Hare
it.
Krishna.
Yeah, already I translate in Gujarati also. So very nice. That's the heart-to-heart job. People who believe, not important. Today, this not useful on this time. Maybe other karma you useful this bhakti. Who knows that?
Correct.
Yeah. Haribol Prabhu.
Thank you. So next Saturday, I forgot to mention when everybody was there, but anyways, that's okay.
Okay.
3 weeks I will be giving a seminar or kind of a continuous subject will be Guru Tattva, ISKCON Niagara Falls,
Okay, great.
3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 2:30 p.m. Central.
Okay.
So the link will be sent out. But for the next 3 weeks, I have been asked to speak. So because it is also Nityanand Trayadashi is coming in the 3rd week of February, last week, the appearance of Lord Nityananda. So Lord
Okay.
Nityananda is Adi Guru. He is Balram Guru Tattva, Nityanand Prabhu. So I will be speaking on Guru Tattva. I will take some Vaishnava bhajans and expound on it and try to, the best of my ability, to highlight Guru Tattva.
Okay.
Which is
Okay, Prabhu.
this was
Haribol.
so Hare Krishna.
Gaur Nitai, Prabhu.
Gaur Nitai, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you.